There is carnage on Wall Street, with shares of the major financial stocks plummeting. It's triggering a major sell-off in the markets. The damage, widespread. Nasdaq's plunging, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is plunging, and oil is plunging.
Literally 180 points just added to the decline. You can hear the hollering on the floor. We're down 260 literally in a split second. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average now 500 points on the decline.
What's going on, everyone? Market Monarch here. I hope you guys have been blessed, man. You already know how I've been doing. So what I got for you guys today is the hidden opportunity in market corrections. Now, we are now seeing this correction happening within the markets. That it's the same thing that we seen in 2008. It's the same thing that we seen in 2020. It's the same thing that we seen back in the dot-com bubble. Just the public is so distracted by what's actually happening that they're forgetting that this has happened time and time before. This isn't anything new, but because it's happening a bit differently, a lot of individuals are getting overwhelmed. And I understand it. So when we're in these types of markets, it's important that we look towards what sectors could be outperforming the typical sectors, which you could be looking at something like commodities, for instance. Although we are talking about a commodity today, it's a bit different. But if you look at the metals, right now, they're in a massive correction. If you look at the oil markets, right now, they're approaching that massive correction. If you look at all of your major stocks, especially around the tech sector, they're all in a market correction right now. And this isn't anything new. If you even look at the crypto markets, they're in a massive correction right now. So if all of these different sectors of business are now in a position where they aren't really seeing that upside volatility that we're looking for, how do we position ourselves in a way where we can still see those positive returns in our portfolio when the markets are coming back? And that's exactly where tungsten comes in. This is a metal, and this metal, it's the most heat resistant metal on earth. But the craziest part about it isn't just the fact that it can take a bunch of heat. It's the fact of how much it's actually utilized. It's a strategic niche industrial metal with very unique properties. So if you remember earlier, I was talking about its melting point. It has the highest melting point out of any metal. It's extremely hard, so it's used for things like cutting tools, drill bits, armor. Not to mention, it's also critical when it comes to the development of technology within the defensive sector, the aerospace sector, electronics, semiconductors. Like it's such a critical component. I honestly believe it does not get talked about enough. We're seeing all your major markets pull back. This is when commodities like this are really put in a position to really see that asymmetric upside. It's used everywhere, but yet it's so overlooked. And this is exactly where investors position themselves when everybody else's eyes are towards everything else that doesn't even matter right now. Okay, so what you'll see right here is that China controls 80% of the supply, more than 80%. And what you'll see in this image right here, this was a report that was published on March 18th, so very recently. Says right here, China's export controls trigger tungsten supply shock. So the global economy right now has shifted from this demand-constrained environment to a supply-constrained one. And what do you know? China controls 80% of the supply. So in concentrated markets like tungsten, the policy now becomes almost more important than the fundamentals. Prices will respond to government export controls rather than just simple industrial cycles. And this is where tungsten becomes so different from all of the other commodities. And if you look at this chart right here, as of March 20th, 2026, the high of this asset is sitting at $28 $2,800 or $2,800. Just 2 years ago, it was sitting under 300. And right now, it's in a position where it will continue to be that way. This is not the top of the market. This is literally just the start of what this market can really do. And this is where I really started to dive deeper into this asset because it's so important when it comes to the development and the advancements of technology that we see today. It's almost as if it's this hidden material. And that's the craziest part.
Today, Junior?
Notice that, how it's the ones like tungsten that get overlooked so much. But this is really where smart money is positioning themselves at times like this. And I guarantee with the rapid increase with technological advancements, this is only going to continue to rise.
Yeah, baby.
And if you look at this chart right here, what you'll see is the blue rectangles are supply, the red rectangles are demand. As we move forward in the following years, the supply now starts to surpass the demand. Then you get into this market surplus, but this isn't what you should be concerned about. What you should be concerned about is the fact that you aren't checking out this market while it's in the position that it's at today. So when we're looking at an asset like this, we've seen 3 different market phases. The first one being the flood and dominate phase, which was to flood global markets. And by prioritizing the market share over margins, they drove prices below the cost of production for Western operators. And this strategic dumping successfully forced nearly all mines in North America and Europe to now go to shit, granting China near total control over the primary supply. Then we get into phase 2 of the cycle, which is 2005 to 2012. And this was when they started to reprice it. So with the competition eliminated, China pivoted to supply tightening through export quotas and taxes. This caused the first major price spike. However, in this phase, it got interrupted, which was between 2013 to 2019, the complacency trap. So following a World Trade Organization case loss, China was forced to temporarily ease certain restrictions. So the prices receded, which then led to another decade of this underinvestment within this asset. But remember, after every bear market comes a bull market.
I think that there's going to be a lot of base building because there's a lot of technical damage done, and we'll see how far it goes before it runs its course. I've learned to never guess the bottom.
All right, but when you see it, what groups will you buy? The blue chips again that were the leaders?
I have to wait and see the action. I don't want to look ahead of the thing.
But can you assure us that we will eventually come out of this?
Oh, come on, like night follows day. There's always another bull market after every bear market and vice versa.
Or in this case, let's hope day follows night.
Absolutely.
It's just a cycle, and it's about understanding the cycles and the timings of which these cycles happen. So then you have today, which is now moving from 2020 and we're now in 2026. But this cycle isn't a cycle that is going to see the same correction in the market that it did in the past, because we've now moved into new times. And it's not to say that the tungsten market won't have some sort of correction, but when we are currently in a recession, the market crash, this is a time when tungsten now becomes a very valuable asset. And that ties in with all the conflicts happening right now. And the reason why it's different this time is because the global economy has shifted from this demand-constrained environment to a supply-constrained one. So when it comes into diving into an asset within this sector, this is the company that I've been looking into called American Tungsten and Antimony Ltd. I don't plan to dive into them. If you guys are looking for that, drop a comment and I'd be more than happy to give a very short breakdown of what I'm looking at for the positions and everything. But other than that, this is really just one of those assets that I think in the near future will now hit a very good time to buy. But ultimately, this is just one of those sectors of the market that very well could be positioning itself in a way where it could see some real strong upside movement, and it could really outperform your major markets during a time like this. That's one of the most common questions I find when it comes to these market corrections is, where do we position our money or put our capital into when it comes to times like this? What sectors of the markets do we look into at times like this? And this is one of those sectors. And this is where tungsten creates such a massive market opportunity. That's unique, in fact, because with China controlling majority of the supply and now using it as leverage, but the new Western supply infrastructure hasn't been built yet, this gap now leaves this open space where the system is breaking, but it's not yet rebuilt. And this is where the most value in the market really comes from. And history proves that Western powers underreact to supply chain dominance until the situation reaches a point of industrial peril. We have reached that point. We're really going to see this priced into the market. And it's going to be at price points that people are like, holy shit, why didn't I get in on this when I could have? So all I'm going to say is, if you are in the markets and you're looking to position yourself in a way where you're now taking advantage of the market correction without shorting the market, you are looking at the right video at the right time. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you got any questions, got any comments, just hit me up. Thank you all for the love and support. It truly is a blessing, especially to even just have you watching the videos, even if you don't comment or even like. It's honestly just, I really enjoy making these videos, so it's really cool. So stay blessed from the best. Peace and love.